Hey, welcome back to Purpose Driven Church Unificationists. We are finishing up the chapter on turning attenders into members. This section is called Keeping Communication Lines Open. So Rick Warren is talking about how it is vital that clear lines of communication are established within your church. He says informed members are effective members, whereas uninformed members, regardless of talent, can't do much. He says at Saddleback, we use anything we can to communicate important messages out to the congregation. Fax machines, voicemail, video, newsletters, cassette tapes, prayer chains, care callers, newspaper articles, postcards, and even the internet. I think he's emphasizing that because back when this book was written, that wasn't a very common practice. Um, he also talks about the importance of receiving communication from the congregation. He says that's just as important it is for you to communicate with your members. It's important that they have a way to communicate with you. So he says they use welcome cards, care callers, and lay pastors to monitor the heartbeat of the church family. So the welcome card was discussed many chapters ago, but it's an incredible tool that they've used that has allowed them to get a lot of honest feedback and objective feedback from the community. He says, because our members know that we read these cards and take them seriously, we have a continuous flow of information coming in. It requires 2 full-time secretaries and a staff of a dozen volunteers to process all the cards we get, but it allows our pastors and staff to stay close to the customer, in quotation marks. Then they have care callers, stands for contact, assist, relate, and encourage. This is a lay ministry where people call through the church directory systematically to find out what's happening in the lives of the members. They ask 3 questions. How are you doing? Do you have any prayer requests? And do you have a message, anything that you'd like us to report to Pastor Rick or a staff member? Then they take accurate information and they also let them know what's happening, upcoming things that are happening in the church. And it's just another way of keeping in touch with the members and saying that they care. And then lastly, they have lay pastor reports. So these are volunteer pastors in a sense, and they are written reports that they get back from lay pastors who lead the small groups. And getting these reports back helps them to get the feel of where the community is at. And so, just to conclude this chapter, he emphasizes that we're all in this together. He says, in concluding this chapter on membership, I want to stress the importance of continually emphasizing the corporate nature of the Christian life to your members. Preach it, teach it, and talk about it with individuals. We belong together. We need each other. We are connected, joined together as parts of one body. We are a family. And yeah, I mean, that makes a really good point there. He finishes off the chapter or this section by reading a letter that was written to him a little while ago. He says, this person says, I have carried the pain of physical abuse in silence for many years. A year ago, after a devastating loss, I moved here to Southern California. Disconnected from everything, I was very lonely. I cried solid for 3 weeks. I finally decided that maybe I should try a church. From the moment I stepped inside my first service at Saddleback, I felt I belonged here. To shorten my story, Christ became real to me. I joined our church and am now serving in a ministry that is very fulfilling to me. I love being a part here. I know everyone's pain is different, but we all need God. My pain was almost unbearable without a church family. When I took the membership class, I had to hold back tears of joy when you discussed how Saddleback is a family. It really is. I'm so grateful for my brothers and sisters here and for a church that I can call home. So that's the end of the chapter. I'm going to basically wrap it up, but just in final reflection, I think that he gives some very good pointers and hints and practical advice. I think that the fundamental point that he is making, which he makes at the end there, is that if you treat your church community as a family, then naturally you're going to find ways to reach out to people to make sure that they're doing okay. If new people come into your family and you want them to be a part of your family, you're going to find ways to make them comfortable. You're going to find ways to ensure that they make a strong commitment so that they don't struggle to find their place and their what they should be doing as they go forward in life in your church. You're gonna really want them to get connected to a small group because once they're connected with the group and they make relationships and they make friends, then it's going to be very hard for them to be lonely or isolated or feel uncared for. And so these are all things that yeah, that he spells them out in the book, but they're just kind of common sense when you look at it from the perspective of building a family. So that's all I have for today, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks.